Hello and welcome back to Control Alt Marketing. I'm your host Meeta Mandavkar. And if you missed our last episode with Rohit Srivastav, Head of Marketing at FleetPanda and founder of S11S Community, hit pause and go check it out. It's packed with career gems you don't want to miss. My personal favorites from the last episode were the mental models that Rohit uses when evaluating new roles and how putting himself online changed the trajectory of his career and helped him get into a marketing role coming from a sales background. This episode, he's dropping more gems around working with founders who get marketing, how does owning revenue look like, some amazing tips on networking, and so much more. So, let's dive into the final part of Rohit's story. I think there were two very interesting thoughts that occurred to me when I was hearing this. One was, I think a lot of marketers have this perception, especially when they're in the junior or earlier stages of career, that, marketing, I would want to work on strategy. Execution is so unfashionable. It's so out of style. I don't want to work on that. But one thing that has always come across from your conversation as well as from other folks that I've heard is execution is like the key to making your strategy work out and to get like results. And you've proven that, especially with all the campaigns that you talked about. Like idea-wise, they were wonderful, but if they were not executed in the right fashion, the impact would not have been there. So I would just want to you have that benefit of being like a leader and also having worked on these campaigns in a very hands-on fashion. I would want to dig into that first. And second aspect of it that I would want to pick up is you've worked across different sorts of startups and you've had that advantage of working with founders. Now, one thing that every startup marketer wants to do is work with founders who are supportive, wants to identify the right kind of people that you work with, who will be supportive of the function in general. So what have been your ways of, identifying those sort of winning leadership combinations, so to speak? Because you also attributed your success to them in the beginning when I just spoke. So two things.
Okay. I'll go for answer number one first, is the strategy versus tactics. I am a huge movie buff and specifically Bollywood. So I would give you the example of the best possible scene that displays it. I don't know, have you watched Laksh, Hrithik Roshan's movie? That where he becomes, where he goes to become an army man. The scene where Hrithik Roshan, Om Puri and Amitabh Bachchan are sitting and they're discussing about how to take over, like what is the status quo and everything. And Om Puri says, and these guys have a plan in their mind and they're strategic, like we'll take over from this side and that side and so on. And Om Puri says that there are not one but two cannons, right? Two bomb cannons. And Amitabh Bachchan says, how do you know? It's like I have used these guns and it takes 10 seconds for one gun to recoil. And because the difference in those two bombs or the two cannonballs are just 5 seconds, there's no way it is being fired by one cannon gun. So we have to prepare for two. Now it doesn't mean that Hrithik Roshan wasn't trained well at IMA. Right? It means that you need to operate those guns to really understand how to prepare for war. Because you had the best education, you had the best training, and you prepared to take over Tiger Hill. But you went there and you saw there were two guns instead of one. What will you do? That is why, without being tactical and having the tactical experience, if you go directly into strategy, of course you'll have some successful campaigns, but the time you'll fail miserably. So that is why I suggest people to actually get their hands dirty. Because there's no shortcut. There cannot be a shortcut to just getting strategy work without being tactical is just gyan. Right? So go through there's this concept called carry the water. You can carry the water is actually some old African or South American proverb. But what it means is during the training process, you need to hold that water, do that work to get where you can, and then only you will be crowned the head of the Kabila. So You cannot just go and sit on the throne. That's not how it works. That is my thinking. I mean, if you are a prodigy that just gets everything, I mean, go ahead, win the world. I will be a supporter. I'll be a cheerleader. But according to me, that's not how it works. That was the answer, right? The other part is, how do you figure out which founders to work for and which to not? Do I have a sure shot method? No. But one of the ways that it has worked out is I usually consult for a month or two with someone before I join them full time to evaluate just how both of us want to work together, right? Second is, and I tell this to people junior than me as well, whenever you are being hired, figure out if your manager, they can be a founder, head of marketing or whatever, gauge this, that are they telling you the how or the what? They don't have to tell you both. If they're telling you both, then you're not being hired for your brains. So that is a red flag. The third thing is, I usually work at least the jobs that I have always taken have always been around 20, 25, 30% lesser than the highest offer that I have had in my hand then. Right? And the reason has always been that I work with people I really like. So I tell this jokingly to my friends that is a premium that I pay to not work with a-holes. So that is my, that is how I go about this. Obviously, there are times that you would fail at this as well. This is not a sure shot process, but that is how you go ahead and figure it out. And also prioritize working with people you like and people those match your vibe for praise.
Some fantastic takeaways from this. I think I'm still laughing on the premium part of it. But big jokes apart, I think this is a very solid way of evaluating the fitment on both ends, even for the founders, even for you. And I think even as I grow older, I've come to realize it's very important to work with the right kind of people, the kind of people who also energize you. And it's a two-way street. Apart from the work that you do, people are so important, a part of your everyday life when it comes to your professional journey. So yeah, I think so far I'm liking and I'm loving all the, career bombs that you're dropping over here. I'm so sure that people are going to dig this, lap it up.
I just hope my current and future bosses don't hear this out. Otherwise, other than that, I'm pretty safe.
I hope not. Considering the audience for this podcast is going to be marketers themselves, and especially.
Do you think I care?
I don't think so.
So, okay, another thing is, the one thing that liberated me was I have been very opinionated online, which is a risky part to take. But the reward it gives you is you only attract people who are okay with your opinions. So they let you be. And that's why I have stopped caring. I'm like, ठीक, जिसको बुरा लगता है वो खुद ही नहीं आए, और जो नहीं आएगा वो चाहिए भी.
That's actually very true. You attract the right kind of people. It's a magnet, so to speak. Repels the people who are not going to, match the vibe, so to speak.
Exactly.
Perfect. I think I'm going to shift gears a little bit. And now this was my take. Even when I first sent the note out to you, I said that, it's been my opinion or my perception that you're very good at networking. Because I see you so much online. I'd not met you, but I'd seen of you. I'd heard of you. I'd heard people, refer to you in posts and all. So I think one thing that I would want to understand a little more right now is networking is very crucial right now in any industry, especially more so for us. And especially in a remote setup. All of us are working remotely. It's not possible to meet. We have never met. We have only met online. So what would be your advice for marketers to develop very strong networking skills in this kind of a remote setup? And I'm going a little 360, but I would just want to, touch briefly on that.
See, there are multiple tactics floating around, and I think a lot of them are good. Basically, like catching up on random things on just to brainstorm, or one of the ways is to do a podcast, meet new people. I think this works really fine. But I will tell you what has worked for me has mostly been a few things. One, I have just been myself. When I said that this is the person that you get on a podcast, on a Zoom call, on a WhatsApp call, everywhere, it has been me. So whenever people, like, there have been people who have not met me for the last decade before I shifted to Bangalore. Like, I came here and then I started going to meetups and all. And they meet me and they repeat this one phrase is, yaar, aisa lagta hi nahi I met you for the first time. So the core point that I want to drive home is be really authentic. Don't do networking for networking's sake. If you don't like a person, don't make friends with them. It's okay. Right? Talk to people you generally want to talk with. Approach people that you really admire. So the India mein networking happened to me because I was very early into this ecosystem and we just became friends naturally with each other. But I have done active networking outside of India, right? So there are a few marketers that I talked to before. Now I keep on talking to them some way or the other. So I talk with the CEO of Drift, which is David Kansan. I talked to him over Instagram. Because that is one place where he's not the CEO of Drift, he's an art collector. So I talked to him about art. And we jam about that. And because I was genuinely interested in knowing how the art collection thing goes. I could not fake it. I just told him that I don't know shit about art. But you seem to be very interested. What does a SaaS guy do with art? And then that conversation started, right? Similarly, I once read Dave Gerard's newsletter and it's really struck a chord. And I wrote to him. I was like, dude, your newsletter really hit home with me. Really hit home with me. And these are the points why it did. This is the anecdote. And there was nothing made up. I didn't expect a reply. But I wrote to him. He replied. We became email friends. Again, I think Tim was the CMO of H&M's. I admire him. I really respect the things that he does. And there was once a job role that he opened. And I wrote an application to him in a Twitter DM. And he really liked that application. And then he opened up calendar slots for me. We jammed over what I can do. Like, it was sort of a conversation to evaluate if I can work with him. And then he figured out, and he basically said that, dude, you're overqualified for the job. I am just basically looking at a content writer. And then we became friends. And once during Bula, I got a chance to go to Singapore and we met for coffee. And now he's one of those acquaintances that I could fall back on. Right? So, again, being genuine, being who you really are. I could not really fake myself into being acquaintances of these people, right? And I only wrote to them. Again, I think the Adam Poet is another connection that I have. I seldom, rarely get on calls with him to understand what to do and so on and so forth. But that also happened like that. Like, he wrote a newsletter that I really liked. One of his LinkedIn status really hit home with me. So I gave him a compliment. That sort of became into a conversation. And then when you are genuinely out there, people know that you're not trying to just play games, handshake networking, which I call, iska card le liya, like 10 card ho gaye. Nobody cares. So I don't do that. But these genuine conversations, even if they are short, you can always go back and ask. If you need something, just ask. Don't pretend to do something else and then sort of push your ask in that envelope and then position it. So that has worked for me. So if you feel that so for example, my Instagram is closed, but I'm just giving you a way to reach, or maybe, okay, I'll give you, if somebody has to reach to me, right? I am super active on LinkedIn, but that also means my LinkedIn is super popular, right? My LinkedIn DMs are filled with requests or just random hellos and all of that. And I have around 19,000 followers on LinkedIn, right? But I have only 1,300 followers on Twitter. and I spend equal amount of time on Twitter. Right? Now you can basically see things together. So yeah.
This has been my takeaway from other conversations I've had on this pod, that nothing beats the actual genuine curiosity about the other person. I think that's the 101 or the basics of networking, just having that curiosity. It's everything goes from there, and it's not about you, it's about them. It's just about understanding them, what they like, what they don't like, and just having a conversation. And it can go ahead from there. Should it go ahead from there? But I took away a lot of good things from this and love it.
Thank you.
Okay, so I'm going to shift gears again a little bit, and this time I have question around owning revenue as you climb up the ladder. So you have a very strong background in content and branding. You worked across multiple sub-functions, demand gen, product marketing, everything. But at core, you have been a content and a brand marketer, so to speak. And you've transitioned now into like a revenue-focused leadership role. Like you're definitely owning the pipeline. How do you navigate this shift, like from a content to like a revenue ownership? The onus changes. It's a completely different ballgame altogether. So how does that shift happen? Because I think it's also the key to growing in your career, to own a number.
Yes. The first question is, should you? So I will quote another great person that I have been fortunate to work with, is Kuldeep Thankar. He was the VP sales at CleverTap. And he used to say, or he still says that there are only two parts in a startup: make and sell. And you have to be on either side of it to be relevant. And so when you are selling, essentially, so what is marketing? Marketing is basically selling at scale. Right? You cannot be a creative genius sitting in a corner and writing a story around some exquisite thing that happened with your product. No, that does not work. You have to, obviously, you cannot be super salesy, but there is a angle of sales that you need to bring in, right? So that translates into another corollary that I believe is, closer you are to revenue, more money you make, and the bigger seat at the table you get, right? So that was the reason why I came close to revenue. That is the reason why I started owning pipeline. And essentially, if you want to become a head of marketing, there is no head of marketing role that does not own revenue, right? That can be revenue -1, which is basically opportunities or SQLs or whatever they call. But it has to waterfall into revenue and as close as possible. That is part one. Second, how did I transition? I figured that I could be that mad genius guy sitting in a corner writing stories and have a glass ceiling on my head for my salary and compensation and benefits and respect. Or I could swallow this red pill and actually learn how to do this. And I literally learned how to do this by being honest with the people that I work, that I don't know how to do this. Right. So Arjun Pillai, the founder of Incent, he was the guy who, for the first time, taught me how to report on these things, how to make a board deck, how to be aligned to revenue, how to track all of this, how to have meeting-based targets. And that is where it started, sort of. The training of it was really long throughout CleverTap and Netcore and WebEngage. It was all there. But I came to the forefront with a bat on my hand, proverbial bat, to basically hit the ball at Incent. And Arjun was there to guide me to that. And after that, obviously, there has been, again, the next level of learning curve, but it has been a different kind of journey since.
So the takeaways are: be a perpetual learner.
Be a perpetual learner and figure people out who are good at this and eat their brains out.
Yeah, makes sense. I think you should never hesitate to ask for help should you need it. It's always good to ask questions than to sit in one corner and just be mum and not learn.
People, like in marketing, so there are two things. This goes with general life as well as being a marketer, the one baseline that you should never forget, maybe paste it right in front of your workstation, is people don't care. People don't care about anything. Yet people die and folks just write RIP and move on with their day. So they are not going to care about your stupid questions. It's okay. So,
I think that has to be one of the best ways to let go of that hesitation and that awkwardness. I think that's the best way to think of it. Great. I'm going to move to the final section of this conversation right now. And one thing I noticed when I was going through your LinkedIn, and also when we were, initially when I was doing my initial research on you, was you have like a clear passion for sharing your knowledge. Okay. And you do like quite a bit of mentoring and teaching. You've been doing it right now at STOA and with IIM Raipur. So I wanted to understand, what is it that motivates you so much to, give back to the marketing community when you already have so much going?
honestly, it's not the marketing community. I just want to give back to people who are looking to learn. And by chance, I only know marketing, so I only can give back, teach marketing back to people. If I was a dentist, I would be teaching dentistry. So that is the real answer. And why I want to do this is because there have been great teachers and there have been bad teachers in my life. And the teachers who have been great at their job shaped my passion, hobby, literary interests, academia, everything about it. The reason why my English got better was because my English teacher was the best in the school. In fact, one of the best in my lives that I have had. She genuinely made me interested into why the fuck Brutus betrayed Julius Caesar, and why it had to be done on the Ides of March. Right? Nobody cares, but I did, because she taught really well. I want to do that for people who are genuinely, passionately interested in this line, because I know how to do this, and I want to unlock that for them. That is the only motivation that I have.
You have been the recipient of great teachers, mentors, and it makes sense that if you're able to extend that courtesy to others, it's nice. It's nice to be able to give back.
And the other part is like about the mentoring part. Why I do that is because I did not get that. Obviously, I'm not saying that I'm a completely self-made marketer and all of that, but there was a great peer group for me which I can fall back on. But everything apart from that, the entire peer group had to figure out what will happen the next year and next year. Now, since we have a certain visibility to the future, or at least the present, making we owe this to the ecosystem to give back. That's our thing. Because honestly, if we do not, then nobody else will, and this will always be people who are coming after us will always have to reinvent the wheel and then sort of build the car and then move forward. So why not do that?
That's great. I think that's a great way of looking at it, and I wish more people thought of it that way.
I try to encourage a lot, but yeah, there are other challenges.
True. Okay, now I want to move next into talking about the S11S community that you run. I think it's a very successful one. I've seen that you have around 3,000 members. You do road shows. I think you did one this year, moving around entire India. I think you did Mumbai, Delhi, Bangalore, and all those places.
We did 8
cities, right? Which is a great tool to have. I think what I was interested in understanding is, for someone who has a proper full-time job, who's also started this community in partnership with other folks, what was the idea behind it? And I would love for the audience to hear a little more about the community, how it started, and what are your plans for it?
The genesis was really interesting, and this is again started from an insight where 4 of us had a WhatsApp group where we would just ask the stupidest of questions, and it would be as simple as, how do you get reviews on G2 Crowd? right? Because one of us has not done this before, and there are 3 people who have done it. So I basically asked for that playbook and just execute. Right? So it started from there, and then every week some or the other would call, and it was all COVID, so we were all lonely and working alone about that. So we would call each other, we'd just do that group call, and we would rant about our lives, jobs, marketing. And because SaaS marketing is such a niche that you cannot really talk to anyone apart from people working here, working in this niche. And when we found that group, and naturally we found each other, it became such an outlet that we thought, okay, this is an amazing thing that we have discovered. And we felt sorry for people who don't have it. So during that same period, Clubhouse launched on Android. And we're like, yeah, let us test this new app out. And we'll do the same random conversations that we do. Because Clubhouse does not let you record, so it's a safe space. And let us put this out on LinkedIn, whoever wants to join. And we're like, okay, how many people will come? 10, 15 people will have like a good evening chat and like that. First day we did it, 85 people showed up. And the highest we had was, I think, 125 SaaS marketers hanging out on a Clubhouse room and just talking random shit about their job, their company and everything. Obviously, Clubhouse fizzled out and we ran out of conversation topics. But it went out for a few months. And then we moved on to just getting it on Slack. Because we felt that after the Clubhouse session, there was not like a regular place that people can go and hang out and ask questions until that Clubhouse session or that Zoom session would happen. Right? So we moved to Slack so that there's a 24-hour connectivity with each other and people can just randomly connect with each other and so on. And we literally thought here, if 200 people will join, so 125 people were on the group call. And I think the 125 are these, and then we'll distribute it through LinkedIn. So if 200 people will join, that will be a good community. And we had like a 400 target for the first 6 months. That we'll get 400 good people inside the community. Within 6 months, we had around 1,200 people in the community. And with absolute, it's for free. There's no money to be made. There's no money to be spent. No marketing, nothing. That is how it sort of started to grow. Obviously, how we were able to do it because we were 4 people doing it. And then we had great support from our peer group, which are like senior marketers, just going in the community and answering like lengthy answers to most basic of questions. I would call out Abbas was there. Abbas would answer a lot of questions. Abbas from Stringworks. Anirudh, who is like a veteran in the paid search department. He still helps out a lot of people in the community. Niranjan was there. Tejasvi was there. So a solid group of, I would call them lighthouse members, that would just come out and show path to people younger and without any interest at all. So that is how the community flourished. There's no way we could have done it on our own and just us running the show and so on. It started from there, and obviously now it is a self-sustaining beast that we also see and wonder that how were we able to build this out.
That's such an organic way of, beginning, just people getting together, having a chat, and then it's snowballing into something completely different altogether. It goes to show that there are folks who want to get together with their colleagues or with people working in a similar field and exchange those experiences and I think knowledge, that human connection at the end of the day.
Yes. And we have made sure that it's a safe space. So like the anonymous channel for that matter, right? Nobody, including us, know who posts on anonymous channel. That is by design. Nobody can, however deep that you go, you can never find out who posted on that channel. So that is how we have been, and we have been very open to criticism. So I think it has come out very naturally, and I think people love it. So I think that's the NPS that we need.
Perfect. And do you have any exciting plans for the community this year, apart from the road shows that you've already done?
We'll keep on doing the meetups for sure, because that has always like that physical interaction of people in a room and just ranting out loud. That has been a great place to be. But we only want to do it the organic way. We have tried multiple things in the past. There are multiple sponsors who want to do certain things with that, but we have put sponsors at bay because we don't want to make it spammy or promotional, because the one thing marketers hate is marketing. So honestly, there will never be a grand plan of things, but there will always be some or the other activities that will bring people together, because that is the driving factor of the company. So that is how we think about it. Like, never say never, but that is the current status.
I think that's the best. I think I'm putting this as an anecdote later. Marketers and being marketed. Okay, perfect. I think the next thing that I noticed, and this is one thing which came out when I first visited your LinkedIn profile, was very first, like 2 years ago or so, that you are into screenwriting. And I was like, what a combination, screenwriting and marketing. In a lot of ways, it's kind of related. The storytelling aspect involved in both professions. But what I would want to understand is what sparked your interest in screenwriting, and like what were some parallels you found, like, between marketing, screenwriting, and has it helped you become a better marketer, having a very different passion altogether?
So yes, I'll maybe answer that question in reverse. It has absolutely made me better at my job, or at least made me easier, because the frameworks that I have learned while screenwriting come in very handy in designing company narratives and story that you want to tell, in all your marketing assets, majorly all brand narratives for sure. So that is the short answer. The longer answer is why and how I got into screenwriting is, I always wanted to become a writer, that is. So I used to write short stories. I have started multiple blogs that now I don't know where they are, because either the blog service provider went down or something happened with the website and so on. But I have always been a story writer. I would write short stories and so on. And it felt that it came naturally to me, that I could just begin writing and it would turn into a story. But after a while, they stopped turning into stories, because I think I hit a roadblock somewhere in my process or something. But those intuitive stories stopped coming to me. So I figured out, okay, but how can it happen? Because I thought it intuitively somebody is a storyteller or not. And then I charged across this masterclass by Aaron Sorkin, which was on screenwriting. And the first thing that occurred to me while I was watching the trailer and doing like some basic free YouTube research was, screenwriting is essentially the craft of storytelling. Like, there is a method to every story. And there's this book called 7 Basic Plots. This coincidentally, same time I got in, like, I became friends with someone who was an actor who was a struggling actor. And he used to do theater and all, and he suggested me this book, that if you're really interested, because we got into this lengthy discussion on films and everything. And it's like, so there's this book called 7 Basic Plots that tell you that all stories in this world can only have these 7 structures. So essentially, there are only 7 stories to be told in this world. Only the characters change and the setting changes. So that blew my mind away. I'm like, how can this happen? Because there are millions and billions of stories going around. And then I read that book and I figured, okay, this is the structure. And then that got me interested into screenwriting. Then I took the masterclass by Aaron Sorkin. Then I took a couple of other workshops from Indian screenwriters. And I became friends with a very famous writer in Hindi. And we used to jam the stories on how a certain story can turn into a script, and how to write a particular scene, why Alfred Hitchcock is maybe the best thriller director ever, why The Shining is so terrifying, why without it being really horror. So things like that. And then we started writing, I started assisting him and so on. And that gave me an understanding of how you can build stories from ground up. What makes stories interesting? What makes one story interesting than the other? Why you are hooked on one particular character than the other, and so on. So that helped me build the founder brand playbook that I use, the company narrative playbook that I use. I borrow a lot from what I learned in the parallel world, and then at the same time, it satisfies my craving for writing. I'm still not making any money from there because I'm not maybe as good as that. I'm an unpaid intern in a big ass writer's room. But I love that. I do that on Sundays morning. Every Sunday morning, I write with them. I jam with them. And that keeps my creativity going on. And it makes me believe that I can still be a writer. So I'm chasing that dream. Maybe in this decade or the next, God knows what will happen.
Rohit, throughout this entire conversation, like we have been sharing anecdotes, we have been sharing a lot of conversation and thoughts around building a career in marketing. Now, you have had the benefit and the hindsight of, 10 plus years of experience working in this field, and you have started and experienced so many different things. What's that enduring advice or principles you would share with marketers that would help them navigate, grow, and thrive, which I believe are three different things in their careers through all of this? I think I would want to conclude the podcast with that.
Navigate is by actually genuinely making connections. And that means that there are multiple people that I have been friends with from this SaaS industry that have not given me any advantage in the past 5 years. And then one fine day, they'll get me the next job. Right? So this one quote is sort of that baseline for that networking is, when you want to go fast, go alone. But when you want to go long, go together. So make the game bigger for people. Help whoever you can. They can be junior than you, senior than you, maybe a peer. But if you can give them some advantage and doesn't cost you much, go ahead and do that. Because that will give you returns in the longer run. And that has given me. That is how you build your network. That is how you get back channel feedbacks. That is how you get referrals. That is how you get better and better jobs. That is navigate. Second is grow. Grow is essentially not, one is accepting yourself. When you say accepting yourself is understanding what I am really good at and what I am really bad at, and be comfortable with that, because that is the first step from where you will be start asking for genuine help. Rather than masking it, हाँ ये तो मुझे आता है, but I'm just asking for asking sake. No. Ask like how curiously you would ask something for the first time. Like when you are in your classroom meeting and you are not afraid of anybody's judgment. Learn from the people that, like, I think all of us who are in the startup ecosystem have a good amount of face time with the founder. Learn from them. Founders are the most shameless creatures around. They ask for all kinds of help, all kinds of advice from all kinds of people. That is how they grow, right? And if you are working for him or her, that shows that they are higher in that rank and they are asking for things from you and from more junior people. So if they can, so can you. That is the only way to grow, is by genuinely asking for things that you don't know anyone. And third is thrive. Thrive is actually to not play games when you are playing the longer game. Right? So just be yourself and actually be a good human for people around. Don't rub people the wrong way, because this is a small world that people remember. So just like that Maya Angelou quote is, people never forget how you make them feel. So be firm, be opinionated, but don't be a a-hole. So you can be a decent human being doing all of that.
I think this is one of the best, ways to wrap up the conversation. I can't wait for this episode to be out, because I think people are just going to enjoy it, lap it up. There's so much value that even I took away from this conversation that I can't wait for others to listen to. Thank you so much, Rohit, for taking time and doing this episode. Super duper excited. Love the conversation. Can't wait for this to be out and for the world to hear too.
Thank you so much for having me and bearing with me for the past hour.
There was no bearing required. Enjoyed every single minute of the conversation. I made copious notes to show.